It was 30 years since Liverpool FC were crowned champions of English football. They did come very close to ending such a long wait during Luis Suarez's last season at Anfield. However, things didn't work out. Eventually, Jürgen Klopp arrived at the club, and even though his track record at Borussia Dortmund showed that this was a serial winner, expectations were guarded. And who could have blamed the club or its fans for that? The Reds always somehow managed to stay on the sidelines and wistfully watch the likes of Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, and later on Manchester City dominate the Premier League. However, the moment the Reds reached the Champions League final where they lost to Real Madrid, it had become clear that this team was on the cusp of something great. During the same season, they'd given the likes of Man City and Chelsea a run for their money. Under Klopp, Liverpool would go on to win the Champions League. A year later, they literally steamrolled their way into the club's first ever Premier League title. This Liverpool side is definitely one of the greatest we've ever seen, boasting the attacking talents of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mané, and Roberto Firmino. The Reds are a free-scoring side. Not only that, they have arguably the best defender in the world right now in the shape of Virgil van Dijk. Fullbacks might never get a lot of rave reviews, but the likes of Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson are two of the most attacking and fun to watch fullbacks you've ever seen. These two have played an instrumental role in making the team's attack look as deadly and as potent as ever. In Alisson Becker, Liverpool have a goalkeeper who not only organises the defence, but is also quite a point of reference for them when it comes to instigating attacking moves. They say that a good attack wins you matches. Well, a good defence wins you titles. And when you have both of those things taken care of, you have an amazing team on your hands. However, Liverpool have been able to achieve all that due to the presence of their charismatic manager Jürgen Klopp. The German tactician has revived the team and transformed them into genuine title contenders, and chances are that they'll continue to be that way for a few more years. So what exactly is it that Klopp has done right? Well, a lot of things really. Create a clear vision and identity. When Klopp first arrived at Liverpool back in October 2015, he mentioned the importance of creating a positive and exciting identity to make Liverpool a team worth watching. This was a time when the club was underperforming and struggling to put together the right results. He added, "My teams must play at full throttle and take it to the limit every single game. It is important to have a playing philosophy that reflects your own mentality, reflects the club, and gives you a clear direction to follow." A unique playing identity was what the team needed the most, and even though did not have all the right players in the squad for the high-intensity brand of football Klopp needed, it was clear that things would get better. As a manager who shows up to be confident, authoritative when he needs to be, and intensely passionate in his approach, this move was destined to work wonders. Taking himself as the leader of the team, Klopp represented the core values, and this inspired his players to follow suit. You can see how much he cares for every goal scored and every game won. Klopp takes full ownership of everything, whether it is a bad result or a title challenge. When he was in Germany, Klopp's high-tempo play and reputation of instilling a strong belief in players helped Borussia Dortmund make life miserable for bitter rivals Bayern Munich. His communication was key, which is why players such as Marco Reus, Mario Götze and Nuri Sahin guided the club to several top honours. Not only that, Klopp has been able to command the trust of those around him due to his willingness to treat his players more than just his subordinates who are expected to follow his commands on the field. Klopp likes to know the player as a person, not just an elite athlete doing well on the field or the training pitch. Jorginho Wijnaldum cites this as one of the major reasons why he signed for Liverpool over other interested clubs. He said, "In the meeting with Jürgen, we had a laugh and did not speak only about football. He was interested in my personal life and that was good for me. He was not only interested in Wijnaldum the footballer, but Wijnaldum the person." When he first arrived at Anfield, Klopp stated that he is going to guide the team to their first Premier League title in the next 4 years. Many people took that as more of a statement coming out from a manager looking to send positive vibes to the fans. However, Klopp was never an ordinary manager, and he reinforced this belief with early success. In his first season in England, Liverpool reached the Europa League final. They were in the Champions League final in his third season, and they ended up winning the final of the same competition in his fourth year. Similarly, the team was progressing well in the Premier League. Klopp's first 2 seasons saw Liverpool finish 4th in the league standings. They finished 2nd in his third season and are now champions of England. But more than that, Jürgen Klopp has been able to sign exactly the players he knew would take the club forward. Mohamed Salah had a torrid spell at Chelsea, and the Egyptian was eventually loaned out to Italy. After spells at Fiorentina and Roma, people were still not certain if the forward would ever cut it in England. However, Klopp knew the player he was going to deal with and knew what makes him tick. Salah was bought for what you consider a bargain price, and the rest, as they say, is history. A great attacking trio makes all the difference, and Klopp brought Sadio Mané over to Anfield from Southampton to play alongside Salah and Firmino. Liverpool had been chasing Virgil van Dijk in what was a constant source of annoyance for Southampton. The Saints were never too eager to sell their prized asset and kept quoting astronomical figures. However, the Dutchman was the only defender Klopp needed, and he finally got his man. Another manager could have started looking for alternatives, but the German master tactician knew why he needed Van Dijk. The 2017-18 season saw Liverpool lose the Champions League final to Real Madrid. The Reds were not the best team on that night, but weren't a shambles either. If only Loris Karius hadn't had a poor game after suffering a concussion, Madrid might not have won that game. Those two howlers by the German shot-stopper hit home a particular point within the club's hierarchy. The club badly needed a world-class goalkeeper. So in the summer, it was back to Italy for Klopp, where he'd already identified Alisson Becker as the man to be his new number one. The Brazilian was signed from AS Roma for a lot of money, and to this date is one of the most important members of the starting 11. With Alisson between the sticks, Liverpool's performances at the back became more assured, and a year later they finally won the Champions League at the expense of Tottenham. It seemed more like a routine 2-0 win, but it was a very accomplished display. When Klopp signed for Liverpool, he'd inherited a team that was always around, but never really there. In between a few instances of European domination, there were inconsistent performances in the league. The Reds were never really the giants they used to be during the 80s. This was the same scenario when Klopp became the manager of Borussia Dortmund. He went about identifying players who could fit into his gegenpressing system, while also making sure to sign those players who would add a certain flair to the side. For Klopp, it was ideal to have a hard-working player such as Ilkay Gundogan, paired up with a creative player like Mario Götze. He needed the skillful Marco Reus to be given cover by a physical Sebastian Kehl. This is how Dortmund were able to challenge Bayern Munich, who at that time were a very difficult side to beat, just like they are now. Sustained success requires time and patience, and the Liverpool ownership understood this. Klopp was given time to create the team in his own image and was given all the resources he needed for that. Unlike most owners, the Liverpool owners asked their manager to build a winning side. He was never really given the ultimatum of delivering a trophy at the end of a season. Therefore, you have to agree that the Liverpool ownership has been very prudent in every decision it has taken in the last few years, and in hiring Klopp, they've made perhaps the most important decision they've ever made. Although he's only won one title so far, it's clear that Klopp is going to guide the Reds to more silverware in the coming season. The current campaign has proven to be a huge test for the Merseysiders. With Van Dijk out and Joe Gomez out for a very long time, Liverpool will have issues at the back to sort out. However, despite these injuries, they've been able to stay in the title race. Firmino's form has been affected, but the arrival of Diogo Jota is a masterstroke. The Portugal international could be out for a few weeks, but with Klopp you can be sure of a plan. This time around, Liverpool will be expected to do well and retain their league crown. This expectation definitely adds a bit of pressure, but that's exactly the sort of club Liverpool have become under Jürgen Klopp. The Reds are supposed to be an all-conquering side, and that is down to how their manager has led the team. Of course, there will be quite a lot of testing times as well, but you can be certain that Klopp will always have some trick up his sleeve.